My name's Leanne Asprey. I'm a cognitive behavioural therapist and coach. And on this channel, I aim to educate, inspire and support you with regards to your mental health and how cognitive behavioural therapy can help with this. Now, this particular video is one that aims to inspire because it was recorded with one of my previous clients who made such great progress using cognitive behavioural therapy that she wanted to share her story so that she could give hope to anyone else who was experiencing similar difficulties. So I really do hope that if you can relate to this story, that you know help is out there and that you can see that there's light at the end of the tunnel. So shall we start by you introducing yourself? That might be a good place to start. So do you want to tell people who you are and just a little bit about kind of why you're here?
Yep, okay. Well, my name's Elaine and I wanted to do this podcast because I was unlucky enough to get a panic disorder that was horrendous, but I was lucky enough to end up doing CBT that helped me not just get better, but recover to 120%. And it was worth the terrifying panic disorder to be sat where I am now, I think. Definitely.
Yeah, brilliant. So for anyone watching, do you want to tell them a bit about what panic disorder is and what it was like living with panic disorder, and a little bit about your story and why you're doing this live? Because I know you've wanted to do this and you agreed to do the podcast with the Darren Brown producer because I'll let you explain. You tell people why you're doing this.
Yeah, the panic disorder was horrible. There isn't a word to describe how bad that was. And it was the first panic attack came along out of nowhere. We didn't know it was a panic attack at first. So I went to the hospital. They diagnosed it was a panic attack. The second one came within 24 hours. As we found out, it was the fear from the first one progressed, which brought on the second one, which then brought on the third one. And from then on in, it was awful. It just, you don't sort of live with it really. You're just a shell. You get up when you have to get up and you eat and someone gives you something to eat. You don't live, you don't have a life. It takes away everything that makes you you. It's awful. And the main reason I wanted to do this is because the doctors diagnosed the panic disorder. They sent me home and I sat at night and Googled panic disorder. And at first it was good. The symptoms all matched. Everything I had, couldn't leave the house, constant panic attacks, sheer terror, everything. Thought, right, brilliant, we've got this. And then I clicked further down and it said the chance of you recovering was very slim or non-existent. I ended up in a chat room with other people that were poorly who just confirmed that you will never recover. And someone actually typed that, you will never recover from this. And it was bad enough having this illness, but to then find out that that would be it forever, it was terrifying. That night was just the worst night of the whole thing. The months that followed were awful, living with a panic disorder, but that was just dreadful to think that that was going to be it and I was never going to recover.
It must have been terrifying to think, because you were like, do you want to tell people kind of how bad it got for you? Like, because you got to the point where you couldn't even go out the house, didn't it? So then to be going online and because people obviously go online looking for hope, and to go online and read that people saying you're never going to get over this, like how, and you're stuck at home, not being out of the house. How scary was that?
It was, because I think, like you say, you go online to find some help. If you get given anything, you go online to find out how to get better. And because the symptoms matched at first, I thought, this is it, let's see, what do I have to do? And then to find out that there just wasn't anything, that this hell that I'd suddenly found myself living in was going to be it. That I love running. I go out, I'm not very good, but I love going out running and fresh air in the morning. And I couldn't leave the front door and there was no explanation. I didn't know what was happening to me. And then I read that that would be it. There was no cure. People with a panic disorder don't recover. It was horrible.
That's just not what you needed to read at all, was it?
No.
And that's why reading that, and then obviously now you've been on your journey, which you're going to talk a bit more about, but then that's what you said to me, is I feel I want to share my story because I want people to know that you absolutely can get over this, you can overcome it, because you said you really empathize with anyone who's kind of having these on a daily basis and actually reading things like that on the internet.
It's just these conditions are so negative and horrible, so to then read something that's even more negative and horrible just made a very bad situation even worse, and it's not true either. so that was
so you, just to summarize, you had a panic attack, and then that first panic attack you had was so scary that you then kind of worried about having another panic attack, which then caused another panic attack, and then that's when it became a panic disorder, because you were panicking about having a panic attack. So do you want to just explain to people kind of what you understand now about panic attacks and how that was happening because of the thoughts you were having about having another panic attack?
The fear of the panic attack then brought on a panic attack, which then brought more fear, which then brought the next one on. And that was how it progressed and got where I couldn't go out, because what if I had a panic attack? What if I was outside on my own and I had a panic attack? I would stay inside in case I had a panic attack. And even being at home, I didn't completely relax. I had panic attacks at home. The thought of having them outside was just dreadful, and that was how the panic disorder started, through the fear of having another panic attack. It was the thought of it actually created the whole illness. Nothing as such happened to me. It was that first panic attack brought on the whole panic disorder that followed, and that was what it was.
And what did you, obviously now you understand more, which again you're going to talk a bit about, but what back then, what did you think was going on? What story were you telling yourself that was happening to you?
It's hard to explain, because the terror, the fear is that bad that you can't think straight. That's sort of one of the things that if you hurt yourself, you can take a painkiller or you can do something, but because this terror's in your mind, you don't get time to think straight. And it was just the confusion. I just remember, what is happening to me? Why has this suddenly happened? That 1 minute I'm fine and I'm out running, I'm going into work, I'm going to watch football, I'm living my normal life, and suddenly I can't leave the front door. I've got terror running through me. I'm scared out of my mind. I'm barely eating. I don't wash. I'm not doing anything because I am so scared, and I've got no explanation to what's actually happening. I've no idea why this happened to me. You sort of think maybe some people that are involved in a violent attack or something scary, but nothing had happened to me. And this had come along from nowhere, and the fear, the not knowing, just added to the fear of the panic disorder and the panic attacks, and it just escalated.
So how long was this happening for, Elaine, before you reached out for help?
This went on for 6 weeks, 6 long weeks. It feels like, when I look back, that it was years. It just felt so long. I remember one morning you'd gone to work at 7 o'clock and you can't do anything, you can't function, your normal day doesn't happen. And I remember thinking, it's got to be 10 o'clock now, got to be 10 o'clock. And I looked and it was 7:45, and you just, everything drags, you can't do anything, there's no help. And the only change was I was getting worse, everything, because I was staying in. When I tried to go out, the panic attacks would come. I couldn't sit in the car. There was no way I could drive my car. It got worse. And then on the 6th week, one of the panic attacks just wasn't easing. I was in the house on my own. It just wouldn't go. I decided to take myself to the hospital down the road, 5-minute walk, but obviously going outside made the existing panic attack worse. It was like everything closed in around me. I got to the hospital. It's a small mobile hospital. They immediately sent me to the main hospital. But like with mental health, they did a chest exam, ECG, told me I was physically fine, which I knew before I got there. And they sent me home again. And the journey back started another panic attack. I'd not washed, I'd not eaten, and Andy didn't know what to do. And luckily, the next day, he went into work and a lady said, "How's your weekend?" He said, "It was dreadful." He explained how poorly I was. And she said, "I know what can help. She can try CBT." And that was then the week that I got in touch with you. That was wonderful. Yeah,
Thank
still
goodness
makes
you
me
did.
smile now.
Yeah, thank goodness you did. So for anybody who's never, or somebody who might be having panic attacks, who might not know the panic attacks, or somebody who's never experienced them, like, do you want to explain to people what a panic attack, and again, symptoms are different for many people, but your experience of a panic attack, just in case anyone can relate to it.
Yeah, my symptoms, they were the same. They followed the same pattern every time. And it was like how I imagined someone to be squeezing my throat, to be pushing back. The muscles there would tighten. That it was like someone had hold of my throat. And then within seconds, obviously the panic would set in. So then it was like around my chest and the muscles would pull tight. And it was how I imagined someone putting a corset and just pulling it tighter and tighter. And while that's happening, your throat's getting tighter. And I always used to look up. It was always something I found I was doing because my throat was so tight. And then my heart would start to thunder. It would beat so fast. And I understand people say it feels like your heart's in your throat because it was beating that fast and that hard. And then you'd get tingling sensations that would follow in the middle of the bad panic attacks. All you're aware of is your tight throat, your tight chest. You can't get a normal breath. You're trying. When I look back now, you realise you can breathe, but you feel like at the time you can't breathe, and it's not.
But would you be thinking during one, I can't breathe,
Yeah.
I'm gonna, which
Yeah.
then kind of obviously triggers more panic.
That's it. Now looking at it, the circle was going, it was getting worse. I can't breathe, I'm going to die, I can't breathe, which would make my throat tighter, which would make the chest go tighter, make my heart beat even faster, which would then convince me that I was going to die and everything would get tighter again. And that was the circle you would sit in while you went through a panic attack, which was just awful. Yeah.
And you
horrible.
said that you used to fear having them. I know you said you had one in the supermarket once, didn't you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that was the first week when they first started and the panic disorder first started, and I was in Sainsbury's and I just felt my throat go tight. And now I know differently, but at the time the fear set in because I was on my own in the middle of a busy supermarket. Straight away the panic attack just came on in full, and the staff were wonderful. I went in with a thank you card when I was better. They were lovely, but to be surrounded by strangers, it just fed the panic attack. Because I'm on my own, I can't breathe, I'm going to die, there's all these strangers here, and it just fed it and made it worse and worse. It was horrible. That they rang the ambulance that took me to the hospital the first time.
so you can understand I can understand like how someone with panic disorder very quickly gets to the point where they can't leave the house because they genuinely fear something, being on their own, being in a supermarket, what people staring at them, passing, these constant fears. So what do you now understand about what you were experiencing versus what you used to like? So in Sainsbury's now, when you were in Sainsbury's then, like, what do you now know that's different to what you knew when you were in Sainsbury's about panic attacks?
I'm the complete opposite now. From hating panic attacks, hating them, I'm now pleased I have them, that my body can do that. Now, through that understanding, I know what's going on. I know that if I am ever in a very dangerous situation, that's my best chance of staying alive, that my brain can pump all that adrenaline into my body, that I can instantly run away from danger without pulling a muscle or being out of breath, that the muscles can tighten to protect in case something hits you. And your brain can do that in a second without you having to think about it. I don't have to sit and go through a checklist and throat's done, neck's done, right, go. My brain in a second can do that to keep me alive. It could be the one thing that if ever I'm in trouble, it would keep me alive.
Yeah.
And that was what it was trying to do. It wasn't trying to kill me. My brain wrongly sensed danger and was doing its best to keep me alive.
Yeah,
that's why.
because our brain doesn't know the difference between real danger or us perceiving something to be dangerous. If it did, nobody would ever experience like panic disorder or our anxiety out of dangerous situations. But unfortunately, it doesn't. So if we're, as you know, if you're perceiving a situation to be dangerous to you, your brain's like, oh my goodness, she's in danger, and it automatically. So you coming for CBT and understanding what your brain was doing, that actually a panic attack is your body's way, your brain trying to keep you alive, that made a huge difference. That stopped you from then fearing panic attacks, which meant you stopped having them. Is that correct?
Yep, that's exactly it. Instead of that dread is I'm going to die, actually it's like, no, I'm not. My brain it's sensing something's wrong, and it's doing everything in its power to keep me alive. When you think you can't breathe, you don't die from a panic attack. You can breathe. It feels hard, but you're breathing the whole time. And it's that understanding that helps you, that my brain is doing everything it can to keep me alive. It sensed something's wrong, which isn't the case, but that was my doing. But it was doing its utmost to keep me alive, not kill me. It was the opposite. And again, if I ever end up in a bad situation, it could keep me alive.
If you're ever in a life-threatening situation, we're very thankful of the fight or flight response. And we spoke about this, that the word panic and the word attack, they are very negative words, aren't they? I'm not sure why. I'm not sure where the name panic attack comes from when we're referring to something that our brain does to keep us alive. But changing the terminology, because the word panic is so negative and the word attack we associate with being attacked, changing it to like a protective moment or a survival episode, like that's something I recommended you do, and that changed everything for you, didn't it? Do you want to just explain a bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. The first time I used it, we were in a cafe. It was the first time I'd gone out on my own. I met my mum and dad, but we were in a busy cafe. It was the first time since I'd been ill. To even be there at first was a miracle, but I'd got there, we're doing our training, and we sat at the table, and all of a sudden I could feel it. My throat started to go tight, and my instant reaction was, right, come on, you've got to go, you're going to have a panic attack. And that jogged me memory from our session, and I thought, no, it's a protective moment. My body's trying to protect itself. And I could feel me relax as I thought, protective moment. And it was lovely. And I thought, thank you, brain, but we're all right. We're not in any trouble. And it just allowed me to look around. I thought, I'm in a cafe with a hot chocolate, and that's it. Now, from being in Sainsbury's to what descended and me having an ambulance take me to hospital, the two words protective moment just helped me relax. And I stayed and I had my hot chocolate and I was absolutely fine. But it was just, instead of panic attack, which is awful, it was just a protective moment. And that's what it was. My brain was trying to protect me from some kind of danger. And once I relaxed, I was like, I'm not in any danger. And I was okay.
You can't die. Like, no one has ever died of a panic attack. It's not because it is your body's way of keeping you alive. It's the opposite. It's survival. So that's really important. And I think, as we know with panic disorder, the fear of having another panic attack is what causes the panic attack. So the moment you stopped fearing panic attacks, protective moments, is the moment you took back control, isn't it? It's like you gave me an example of that day you were going into work. Do you want to just kind of share that, how you changed the way you thought about them and the difference it made?
Yeah, it's everything about it. It does just make you think that, like I say, it was like, I'm going to go into work and straight away, what if I have a panic attack? What if I have a panic attack? It's like, it's a protective moment. You go into work. I'd worked there for over 10 years. I miss the people I work with from being off. And it was just that going into work, just relax. it's a protective moment. Your brain is trying to protect from a danger that just isn't there. And it just makes all the difference to just, I don't know, to just look at it that different way, that not panic attack. Panic attack's a horrible 2 words. And it always makes off people say, calm down, you're having a panic attack. It's like, that's not.
What about when you said that, like, you kind of started saying to yourself, so what if I do have one?
Yep.
Got to tell, like, because that was quite a good example of.
Yeah, that's me light bulb moment when I was
Yeah.
in a walk one morning, and it did. I thought, I'll go in and see everyone in work, and then straight away it reared up, what if I have a panic attack? What if I have a panic attack? And it just allowed me to think, it's like, what if I have a panic attack? I do. If I have one, I have one. And it was taking that fear out of it. What if I have a panic attack? Well, I do. I get the tight sensation. I have 20 horrible minutes of living through it, but then that's it. Nothing bad happens afterwards. You don't need hospital care for months, and no one will take everything away from you. If you have a panic attack, you just have a panic attack. And it took the sting out of it, took the fear out of it. And it was it was trying to trick me. What if you have a panic attack? I'd had that many. I'd had them everywhere. I had one in work. I had one in the middle of the supermarket on my own. I've had them, but nothing bad happens. It's just, they're horrible things to experience. I wouldn't wish them on another living soul, but that was it. If you have it, you have it.
So it was just reminding yourself that you'd survived every single one up to that day.
Yeah.
And then you went into work and you were fine that day, weren't you?
That's it. I smiled to myself. I even thought, what if I have a panic attack? And it was you sort of speak to it in a way. It's like, I have a panic attack, I have a panic attack. So what? What's it going to do? What's it going to do to me? Nothing. And people are nice and kind, even in Sainsbury's. I said I got the people thank you cards, because nobody laughs and points, nobody does anything bad. People will always come and help you. Strangers help you. If you have a panic attack, somebody will come and help. Somebody will be nice to you. You've just had to sit it out till it goes, and that's it.
So you changed the whole meaning of them, and it really helped you to,
that's it. I thought to myself one day, I was like, is that all you've got? Come on, what if I have a panic attack? So what?
I do remember you started to kind of see your anxiety as a bit of a bully, and you really started to stand up to it, didn't you? Kind of, you started to have a bit of fun with it, didn't you? Like, start kind of talking back to it, which I thought was really, really good way of doing it. So just for anyone who doesn't know anything about CBT, like, how did CBT help you with, because you obviously you'd been to do you want to tell people, actually, before you say that what you'd tried before CBT? So I know you'd been to the doctors, and do you want to tell people a little bit about what you had tried?
Yep, the doctors gave me, at first they gave me beta blockers. Now, because I'd never had anything like this before, I didn't know this kind of medicine. So the beta blockers were to stop when my heart was beating, because they knew that was scaring me. It was to try and, so you can't feel your heart rate, and they're supposed to help you relax. They gave me, I think it was 2 in the morning, 2 at night. It did nothing. So then they increased it to 3, 4 times a day.
Yeah.
Just didn't do anything. It didn't. Some people are like, gosh, you must be relaxed. Like, no, they didn't have no effect on me at all. Because of that, they then give me Prozac. So the first week of Prozac was dreadful. Apparently it can be bad for the first week. Again, with not taking it before, I didn't know anything about it. But once the first week passed, I just went back to how I was. It wasn't making me any better at all. They really didn't want to give out diazepam because it's so strong. But it became apparent after 5-6 weeks, I was no better. The only change was I was getting worse. So that was when they gave me the diazepam. And again, it made me sleepy. It sort of made me lethargic. It was horrible. And it wasn't helping me get better. As soon as it got out of my system, it was like a really bad hangover that you felt ill. And then I went back to having the panic disorder. It just wasn't doing anything. And I remember the paramedic, the second time I went to the hospital, I was in such a state, the panic attack wouldn't ease. I was outside and he gave me a diazepam, and I got a tissue and pretended to sneeze and put it in the tissue and put it in the bin, because it wasn't the answer. It wasn't doing anything to help me. And all they do, give you diazepam, send you back home again. And it wasn't the answer. I knew it wasn't doing anything. it was awful. Nothing they prescribed worked. They were strong drugs that just didn't do anything for me.
So do you want to tell people kind of what CBT did for you then, and just summarize it? And I'll just explain that, because I know you get asked this question and you find it hard to answer, because CBT, it's not just one thing that we did. Like, we worked together for a few months, didn't we? And we worked through a treatment plan, so there's a lot involved in it, a lot of work. But I know you can't kind of cover the whole thing, but just if someone just to ask you, like, if someone had a panic disorder and said to you, how will CBT help me, what would your answer be to that?
CBT explains what's wrong with you. And for me, that was the biggest thing throughout all of it. Nights when I looked online, there was no cure, nobody could help. You didn't know what was happening. I didn't know the fear of a panic attack was bringing on the next panic attack. And CBT just explained what was happening in my brain. It explained how it was a good thing what a panic attack was. It explained it was happening at the wrong time. And it just explained everything that was happening to me, to get home and just think, I get it now. I understand what's actually happening, even before we started to work on it, to just have an understanding of what was wrong.
Normalised it.
Just make it, because you think it's me. It's worse for me than anyone else, and other people beat it, but I never will. It's worse for me. I can't tell anyone what's happening to me because they'll think I'm daft or I'm weird, or you think it's you. Them conditions make you think it's you. And then suddenly you get an explanation and it's not you. It's the condition, what it's doing, but it's not you. You're not doing anything wrong. It's just something that you've got, like a physical illness. This one has just happened in your head, but you've not done anything wrong. It's just an explanation. And then building on the explanation is how you put it right, how you take charge of it.
So we worked through a treatment plan, and that involved, like they say, massive part of it was the psychoeducation, understanding what was happening, which I know made a huge difference to you. Then we obviously did a lot of work around your changing your thoughts, because it was the thoughts around, oh my gosh, what if I have a panic attack, which was then causing you to have the panic attack. So we had to kind of reframe the way you were thinking about it. And then we did a lot of kind of work around your behaviors, didn't we? Because you did get to the point where, like you said, you weren't going out, you weren't out, you hadn't been out of the house, you took time off work, you'd stopped running, you'd stopped going to your favourite football games that you used to love going to. So we had to kind of help you to break out of that, and we educated you about worry as well, which I think not just relating to the panic disorder, but you were you were quite a worrier anyway, weren't you? So
it was,
CBT's not only cured you of your panic disorder, but it's actually, you said it's kind of made you much happier, hasn't it? Do you want to just explain how all that, you know, like doing the behaviour experiments and working on your thoughts, like how has that changed your life for the better anyway?
Everything. It has changed everything. It's just because I am a born worrier. If you had to pick anyone in the family that got a panic disorder, you'd have picked me, because I'm such a born worrier. I will think every situation through of what could possibly go wrong all the time, all day, every day. And it's incredible to have CBT again, to realise that what I was doing wasn't wrong. It was nice that I worried that I might say something that would upset somebody, that I cared what someone else thought, or I worried I'd get something wrong and it'd affect somebody else. It was nice what your brain was doing. It was just going a bit too far. So to just assess, and CBT teaches you how to think, to just weigh a situation up, and not what could go wrong or what could go right, what could be nice. And you don't set out to be horrible to someone, so you don't have to worry about that part, because you're not going to do it anyway. And just look at something nice and the feeling it has in your body, and it just allows you to see everything differently. And once you relax about one thing, you've got more time and you can do something else. And I read more, I garden, I've decorated, I've done so much more, because worry took up so much time. What if it went wrong? What if this happened? And now it doesn't matter. If something did go wrong, it goes wrong. You've tried it, you know. And have a go at it and take it on, and it just changes the whole way. And even a podcast, there's no way I'd have done this years ago.
I know.
I'd have run a mile. Not, what if it went wrong? What if I said something stupid? What if I couldn't think of what to say? What if everyone doesn't like it? And now it's like, well, what if somebody did like it? Or what if it helped? Or what if nothing went wrong? And it's just, and like you say, it's training, it's forming that habit that at first you're in no man's land. You can take on panic, you can beat it, but old habits repeat themselves. But you just keep doing it again and again. And now I'm in the place where these good habits, they're what are there all the time.
Yeah.
Things can flare up, anxiety can creep up on me, but I sort of like that it's there because it reminds me of how much control I've got over it.
Yeah, you don't let it take over, do you now? No.
I laugh at it now. I'm like, nice try. Yeah, what else have you got? And it's amazing how you can deal with everything, that instead of what if it's bad, what if it's good? What if it works out well? And if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. Give it a try. It's just changing. Everything before would be, what if I can't do that? What if it went wrong? Don't do it. And now it's the opposite. Just give it a try. And if it does go wrong, it does go wrong, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. See, anyone watching this now who is worrying a lot, like you saying that, they might be thinking, gosh, it sounds easier said than done. But what we need to understand with CBT is it is a process, isn't it? Like you didn't just come to one session and have me say that to you, did you? Like it was months of us working together. And every single session kind of builds and builds and builds until you get to the point where you do start to. So if anyone's watching thinking, I wish it was that easy, it's not easy. And CBT is not easy, is it? Like it's a commitment, and it's, it does require, coming to the sessions, doing the exercises outside the sessions, being consistent. It requires facing your fears, but with the support there. But all them little, each week you build and build and build till you get to the point where, like now you're, you like you say, you can laugh at your anxiety now, but you couldn't have done it at the start, could you? Like it took you a while to get to that point, hasn't it?
Yep, that's it. The anxiety had me in the house, taking away all my hobbies, taking away everything. And now I can laugh at it. I actually like when it surfaces. I'm like, oh, here we go. But it's under control. It makes me aware. I can still pick up things, and my brain will still say, oh, have you done this, or checking on things, but it's all under control now. It's all there, and it's all completely under control. And that's what CBT's done. It's like I say, I wouldn't just recommend it for someone who's ill, to do it anyway. Having an understanding of your brain, it's so amazing, and to learn how it works and what it tries to do, and it is
where our thoughts come from and stuff. It's fascinating, isn't it? Like our thoughts, they need to be understood. We have negative thoughts for a reason. It's understanding it, isn't it? But I agree with you that it's not something that people should just have as a cure. Like, CBT is, I think the techniques and the education that CBT provides, I think everybody needs to understand it, because prevention is better than a cure. And I think the fact that you said, you came for CBT for panic attacks, which it's helped with, but it's also helped you to improve your life, and you're so much happier. Like things that you didn't even expect to get from CBT, it's provided. And I do believe that if everybody understood CBT, then it would, even without problems with their mental health, it would just help them to be happier and have a better relationship with themselves, which is ultimately, and that's what my CBT program is all about. It's sharing this with people, because, and I'm trying to get into schools and doing offering school training, because I think we should be teaching this to kids. Absolutely, 100%. So do you want to just obviously, like I said, we worked on your thoughts and we did the psych education, and we did some work around your behaviour. So do you want to just tell people about just one example? I think like the football example of how kind of doing behavioural experiments and removing safety behaviours really helped you with your
this was what I still can't believe this one worked as well as it did. But the football was a big thing, because obviously I would have to go outside. It's a 45 to an hour drive from the house. So the panic disorder knew that once we got there, I had to get home. It wasn't just that was halfway through. however far we got, I had to come home, and it was, what if I have a panic attack when I get there? What
How
if
long had you not gone for before that day? Can you remember?
Oh, I'd missed probably about 3 months from never missing a game in 20 years. It was 3 or 4 months that I'd not gone. And it was the understanding my friends didn't know what was wrong either. Why aren't you there? And everyone was asking. And I knew once I got there, people would be coming up to me, which I didn't like. I liked to keep my space. I was in the house, just me and Andy. I didn't go out. I knew people would come up to me. We had to do the journey there. I had to do the journey home. We'd be sat in a ground that was full of people all around me. So I got the medicine out. I had the beta blockers, the Prozac, the diazepam. We were all set for this game. And the week before, we worked up to me going to the game. It was going to be a big thing that involved the car outside, lots of people, all the stuff that triggered the panic disorder. And we went through our technique that was on a card that I had. And even at the time, I loved it. I'd loved everything about CBT, but I thought, I don't know if this is going to work. I just don't know if this is going to work. And I had the card, and off we went. And we turned off the roundabout onto the country lane, and it started. It was like someone had grabbed my throat. My chest started to go tight. The negativity of me, the voice was, what are you doing? You're not well enough to do this. You're going to go all this way. You're trying to kid. You can't do this. The breathing. And I got the card out of my pocket, and I just read what we'd done. And it was determination and relaxation from what we'd put into that work. And it completely overrode the fear of the panic disorder in that second. And I knew then I wasn't even just going to go the game and sit it out. I knew I had it beat. I was going, and we watched the full game. I enjoyed every second of it. And that was the point when I knew I had it beat. And that was the behavioural techniques that we had on that card. And I've still got this card to this day. I don't need it. I'm well beyond that. But just how well that worked. And when I got in, that was when I went to the chemist the next day and got rid of the Prozac, diazepam, and the beta blockers.
Is that when you did it?
Yeah.
I do remember you coming for your next therapy session on the following week, and I'll never forget your face when you walked in the room and how happy you were that you'd been to that football game, and it was like something changed that day. It was amazing to see.
It was. It was brilliant. It was the control I had over it that day. It wasn't just all the time where I kept it at bay, or I'd beat the panic attack, I'd stop the panic attack. It was that control at that point. I always said I sort of did it in my head in percentages. When I was first poorly, it was 100% panic disorder. There was no part of me left. And it sort of altered and altered. And on that day, it went 60% me, 40% panic disorder, because I was in charge at that point. And it was the work we'd put into that card and the confidence. I knew straight away that was it. I had it under control. And we watched the whole game, and people asked how I was. And I was okay. And I knew, because of the work we'd put into that bit, it just worked wonders.
I think after that, you did any behavioural experiment we set. You just went, didn't you? You were like, you started running again. You started going to running club, and you just went. You went from strength to. I think having an experience where you felt like you were in control for the first time, in a long time. That then just sparked something in you that you could that there is light at the end of the tunnel for this. And
definitely. I wasn't even managing it. Being able to manage it was a massive step.
Absolutely.
But this wasn't managing it. This was controlling it. And for somebody who thought, I can't do this, I haven't got the guts to take this thing on, at that point I knew I did. From the work we put in, there was no doubt in my mind. Even the negative part of the panic disorder that was still in me, I knew then that it was going to be all right. I was going to do it. From that point on, everything did change after that. I was in control then. And it wasn't, like I say, it was a difficult process, but it is achievable. It really is achievable. And it's certainly worth it. It really is. Yeah.
And not only have you like overcome it, but look at you, you sat here doing this live with me. And for anyone who doesn't know, like when Elaine finished CBT with me, she wanted to share her story with other people. So you wrote a blog, and that blog was online and was found by the Derren Brown podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they contacted us to see whether you would be interviewed on their podcast, which you did 2 weeks ago. So not only have you kind of overcome this, you've got the confidence to talk to people live, and it's just it's so amazing to see that.
It is. It's
you
can't even believe you're doing it, but it's one of them, like you say, what if it goes wrong? It's like, well, what if it goes wrong? What's going to happen? You're not sent to prison. If it goes
goes right and you help so many other people.
And then it went right because I tried it, and then you're left feeling ace. And it was when I drove back to work after the podcast, in my head I pictured just punching anxiety. I was like, there you go, you're not getting anywhere now. It was a lot of hard work, but gosh, it does work. It's just amazing. It changes everything. Like I said, I wouldn't even wait to be ill to do CBT. I would say just do it. It's
if you just want to kind of build happiness, build self-esteem, understand your mind, absolutely. So for anyone who might be watching, Elaine, who, I don't know, is having panic attacks, or knows somebody who's having regular panic attacks, what would you say to them?
I would say get some help to do CBT. Don't worry about, because I know what it's like. I know how scary it is. And I also know that what goes with it is you think you're in the wrong, or you think you've done something wrong, or you think you shouldn't tell anyone. People still get ashamed to think like that, but just don't. It's just your brain. Something's just not quite working right. You know, you can hurt your leg, you can hurt your arms. And like I've said a few times, I said, you don't keep a headache a secret. You don't think, oh God, don't tell anyone I've got a headache. It's just something that doesn't work right. So just, if you hurt your body, you go to the doctor. This is just the same thing. Just get some help. It's just, you put in some work, but it is worth it. And I'm not a strong-willed person at all. You don't have to be overconfident or think you've got something in you. It's just your brain. It's there. And the more CBT you do, the more you realise it's been there all along. And it's amazing. It sounds weird, it doesn't change you as such as a person, because I'm still everything I was before, but I just know my brain a lot better now. I know how to work it, how to use it. And I really wish I'd have done CBT, or even I didn't hear of it, but I wish I had before the panic disorder. And not just because it would have helped with the panic disorder, but because it would have just helped with general anxiety or worry. Everything, just if there's anything wrong, get some help, because it can be beaten. It really can.
You're proof of that. You said something to me which I think is important to mention about the not having to be academic. I thought that was quite important for anyone watching.
I always think when I say CBT, it was hard to take on them panic disorders when the thoughts are in your own head. I would say you can't go to somebody else while you sort your broken mind out. You're in that mind, and you've got to take yourself on. You've got to face, and that's what's hard. It's not you've got to be good at maths or have a degree. You've not got to have a high IQ to take this on. It's not that kind of hard. And it's not for someone like me who's a pushover. You don't have to be strong-willed. It's not that kind of hard. You don't have to be clever to beat it. You've just got to put the work in to challenge what's inside your own mind. It's not difficult hard as in mathematics or anything like that. It's taking it on that's hard, but anybody can do it. And what I find now is anyone who's living with a panic attack, they've got more guts than they ever know. When I look back now, what I lived with, it's like, how did I do that? But you don't realise it. And
the strength it requires to get through every single day. Absolutely.
Yeah, go and get some help, because you're dealing with a lot worse every single day. You've shown more gut than you do realise right now. Get to where I am, and when you look back, you realise just what you were doing at the time. But that's why you can do it, because you've got this far already. You've already took on panic attacks. Even if they're winning at the minute, you're still getting through them, and that's why you can do CBT. You're doing something really hard at the minute. Do another hard step to put it right.
So what are you now doing? If anybody has got any questions, I'm just going to check if anyone's commented with any questions. But if you've got any questions, please do put them in the comments. But what are you now doing, Elaine, that you couldn't do before? What are you back doing? And
everything and more. This for a start. There is no way.
Well, yeah, this live, yeah,
something like this. I've not a chance. I wouldn't have even done an audio, let alone have people see me. Just nothing. But even like gardening, redoing my garden, and God, I'm not good at it. Lots of it doesn't work. But so what if it doesn't work? Give it a go. And I've done it. I do decorating, and I've done runs that there's no chance I can run them all, but you walk a bit of it, so what? And just taking a chance on things instead of worrying. It's just doing something that takes a chance, and it's, even if it goes wrong, it's sort of good to have a chance and have it go wrong than not do it at all or worry about it beforehand. It's just, like I said,
it's freed a lot of time up for you as well, didn't you? Like you started reading.
Yeah, that's it. I keep a book of all the books I read, my book diary, and I'd read sort of 12 books a year. I didn't think it was that bad. I thought I worked full time. Now I'm reading between 30 and 40 books a year because you're
not worrying as much.
I'm not sitting down opening a book and then playing things in my head. What have I not done? What do I need to do? What's coming up this week? And
that was before you had the panic disorder, wasn't it?
Yeah,
so it's helped you with that as well.
That's so it. Just being a general worrier.
Yeah.
It's
really interesting, isn't it?
All of that. It's fascinating. And like I said, it was there all along. It was just that worry, that stress that just got out of hand a bit. Because like I say, I know my brain worries for certain reasons. Did I leave something switched on? It's there. So you don't leave stuff switched on, but it's just keeping it in control, managing it, and knowing why your brain's doing it.
Yeah. So I suppose based on that then, had you not experienced panic disorder, you would still be a worrier.
Yeah, definitely. And I always used to say, I'd watch other people and I used to say, I worry like mad, they don't, and then we both achieved the same thing. But I always presumed it was just the way I was. It never occurred.
I hear that quite a lot. People, if you've worried most of your life, it just becomes your identity. But you don't have to worry, do you? You know, there's a life without worry if you.
Yeah, I thought it was just me. I thought work a way around. I used to make jokes about it, and I've got to worry. I've got to set time around to worry about something, and then suddenly I realised that actually I don't have to worry. I can do everything. I can do better things because I'm not worrying about stuff that doesn't exist or stuff that might never happen. I can now just deal with what is actually going on in front of me.
And much happier. So do you want to just kind of tell people like what the future holds now for you? Like what maybe that wasn't an option for you before? Like what you're looking forward to?
Yeah, everything.
I'm just going to see if there's any comments. Go on, carry on.
I just look forward to everything. It doesn't matter now. You don't have to plan anything. You can just do whatever you want to do. I can go on a holiday without worrying about what's left behind, or flying that I used to hate, and now you just enjoy everything. It's just the not planning, just see what happens. Just stick with whatever happens when it happens. Don't worry about something that might never ever show up, and just being generally loads happier and having more time to enjoy myself, do things properly, and I think everything works better, life, everything in general is better.
Brilliant.
I've got that worry eating away, taking up time. It's just, shut away now.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I can't see any questions come up, but there is a bit of a delay on the comments. So, but if anyone's watching this on the replay, and you've got any questions, please do comment, and I can send the questions on to Elaine and kind of get an answer after this, because I know a lot of people will probably watch the replay of it as well. So feel free to ask whatever. One of the questions that you got asked in the previous live was how difficult was it for you to reach out for help? Do you want to just kind of, for anyone else who might have that same question, how difficult was it for you to ask for help? Because there is a lot of stigma around mental health, isn't there? And
there still is. Even now, I talk about it all the time, and you can see a difference in some people. I don't even think they mean anything bad by it, but there is definitely still stigma attached to it, which doesn't help because it exists in your head anyway. I always say those conditions bring out anything negative. So, but just like I say, you've not done anything wrong. There is nothing wrong. It's like picture cutting your hand, cutting your leg, having a headache. It's that same thing. You
I
would
like
get
that.
help for all of them. Just go and get help for this, because it's there. It can be done. And there's
Your mind is your body, isn't it, at the end of the day? So
yeah,
I've got a question.
it's another thing I think that's changed is the stigma, and you worry what people think. Now it's made me the opposite. I will tell everyone what happened to me, because I didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There was nothing wrong. There's no point in keeping a secret. And I say I won't keep a headache a secret, or a cold. Why would I keep this a secret? I didn't do anything wrong. I was poorly, and I tell everyone, because
I really like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of help that you can get. There's nothing to feel bad about, and that's what they need to get rid of.
And you're not alone either, like you say. There's so many people out there experiencing similar things, and
yeah, the negativity with them conditions, then coupled with other stuff, and you've got to realize that so many people are understanding, and it could happen to them. It could have already happened to them. You think it's just you, but it really isn't. It really isn't. The amount of people that'll say, oh, I had something like that, or I know somebody who had that, or you never know, further down the line someone comes back to you and says, you know, when you were poorly, I had something like that. And talk about it, because it's nothing wrong.
It inspires and gives people hope as well. Like I've got no doubt that your lives on Instagram and Facebook tonight are gonna get the, you know, even if we only help one person, it's, or just put a bit of hope into somebody, that's your aim, and it's my aim as well. So it's really important we talk about it. But Claire's put, love hearing success stories like this. You're amazing. Well done, Elaine. So that's
thank you.
Nice.
Thank you. Maybe
let me just check on this one if there's any comments on that one. No. Oh wait, there. 1 sec. I just want to. I know there's a delay with Facebook, so I don't want to close the live until I've checked one more time. No, that's fine. It's just Claire saying that. So thank you very, very much, Elaine. You have been
thank you.
To be so what you're doing is just amazing. You should be so proud of yourself for how far you've come, and that you're now sharing it with other people. And I'm so happy for you. Happy for you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for everything.
You're very welcome. There's nothing that makes me happier than seeing and hearing that clients move on and start to love life again. That's my ultimate aim. So
yeah, well, you've achieved it here. Definitely. I'll always be grateful forever.
Oh, you're very welcome. So
definitely.
I'm going to wrap it up then. Like I say, if you watch it on the replay, you've got any comments, please do just put them in the comment box. I will get a notification and I will forward them to Elaine. But thank you, Elaine, and thank you everyone for watching. Hope it's inspired, or at least put a bit of hope into anyone who might be going through something similar. And we'll see you very soon. Thank you again. Take care. Bye. Bye everyone. Bye. So I really do hope you found this video to be useful, and if you could relate to the story that was shared, I hope you're leaving here feeling inspired and know that these things can be overcome with the right support. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can keep up to date with any future videos that I put on here. And if you want more information about cognitive behavioural therapy, take a look at the link below, and any questions, please do get in touch.